You're listening to It Came From the Radio. You know this is Dr. Feldy. I'm here with a very talented man, Bob Heckman. He's a very pleasant man. He's a quite verbal man. He's a strong communicator. He gonna talk right to you because he's here with me right now. So Bob Heckman, you produced Victim No More, which is a 40-minute film that released in 2022 with a movie poster reading this at the top. They were warned. They were doomed. But on this Friday the 13th. So, Sir Bob Hackman, what's this movie all about? Simply.
Well, to finish that tagline at the very bottom, it says, "But on this Friday 13th, the body count must end." That
Well,
finishing
see, I,
tagline.
I only look up. I'm trying to be more
It's
positive these
always, yeah,
days.
it's
So I
always
don't look
best to
down.
look
You can look down.
keep looking up. I mean, usually the top of the posters are more important than the bottom, but yeah.
I believe so.
Um. So, well, I'm so happy to be finally on your show, Dr. Feldy. you
It's
know
great to
i
have you
i
here.
seen a
Hopefully I have a
couple of
part two.
episodes, and they were great, and I'm like, I gotta get on this Dr. Feldy show.
Well, this one's not gonna be as like religious as the other ones, if you don't mind.
Religious lists.
Religious list, possibly.
Yes. But to answer your question, you asked what it was about.
Yeah,
Is that
what's this all about?
what's this
What's
all
the first
about?
one all about? The victim no more. Like, what is this?
This
Victim
is
no
a
more.
this is a Friday the 13th tribute film, um,
Hmm.
that I did a few years ago. And like you said, it came out in 2022, a short film. I am very passionate about the Friday 13th film franchise. It's my favorite horror
Hmm.
movie franchise. I was gearing up to, in prior, years before that, to create a horror movie anthology film. Um, but I was thinking of like my resources and the people that I know, and I'm friends with a few Friday 13th alumni, um, cast members from the original films, and I was like thinking like, maybe I should make a fan film or a tribute film, because I love the movie so much. So I came up with the idea of, well, this is the basic story: is that there's a boy named Robbie. He's in his mid
Robbie.
20s. Robbie.
Is he the blonde one?
He's the
There's a
blonde
blonde
one.
fellow.
Yes,
I saw
played.
clips of it. Jennifer sent me clips when she was introducing me to you.
Oh yeah, Jen came to, like, we
He
had a
looks like
screening
he could use a
recently.
bit of a tan, that one. Is there a reason that you kept him out of the sun before shooting this movie?
No, no, he's just, his name is Hans Hendrickson. He's naturally that white, I guess I should say. Which, you know, didn't bother me at all.
Oh, I
Um,
thought maybe you're trying to keep him pale for some type of motif or
well, I mean,
feeling part, or maybe
if you
you'll
want
see
to
reflections.
look deeper into his actual character, you can actually think there's a reason he's so white, because the
Correct.
character himself is very sheltered, and he lives with his overprotective mom, and who probably, doesn't let him out of her sight, like, so he's
Right.
probably stays indoors a lot because she's so, like, a smothering mother, like very overprotective of him. So that's basically the story, is that he is feeling, he's a very naive boy. He's been going to therapy and discussing how his mom, um, can, cannot get past the trauma that she experienced years ago, like 30, 40 years before, which is she was a survivor of Jason Voorhees, the maniac hockey mask wearing killer. So,
Ah,
I mean, I imagine a lot of people, if they've gone through that experience and they had children eventually, they would be very protective of their children going out into the world and
right.
experiencing horrible things, like a Jason Voorhees type killer out there.
Mhm.
So, in his kind of childish, naive, you know, inexperienced brain, he thinks that if he goes to Camp Crystal Lake, which is where a lot of these murders took place and where his mom lived. Um, Maybe he could prove to his parents that Jason does not exist anymore. So he wants to prove
Hmm.
so that it's his way of saying like, "Hey, mom, it's okay if let me grow up and go out into the world and be my own man and let me live my life and stop, you know, hovering over me and trying to protect me." So, um, he thinks this is a smart decision, and he has a conversation with his therapist in the beginning of the film about doing this, and the therapist just says, you're a man now, you got to make your own decisions, and I'm going to
Ooh.
trust that you know what you think you should do. So um
Ooh.
so yeah, it kind of goes off from there, and there's other characters that are introduced, and it takes place in Crystal Lake, and what's a Friday 13th fan film without Jason? So yes, Jason does show up. And
And does this pale boy, Hans, does he survive? Does
well,
he
I don't
make
want
it
to give
through?
away the ending if somebody hasn't
Well,
seen it yet, but
it's
it's
not
been
the
a couple of years.
experience.
But let's say if he did survive at the end of this film, he's
Hmm.
probably going to go home to his mom and say, "I'm sorry, mom, you were right.
I
The
mean,
world is a terrible place."
he's all bent out of shape because I did see many clips of your movie. It seems like he's all upset and real sad and withdrawn about this
Mhm.
smothering mother. But I would say a lot of people would love to have a mother who cares, and maybe he should just be thankful that his mother cares so much about him.
He does, and he kind of like walks that line a little bit throughout the film, where he's trying to be very understanding about it, but I feel like in his naiveness, he doesn't quite understand. Like he never went through anything like what his mom went through, so he can't quite relate.
Hmm.
Um, so he kind of gets a little like snappy at her sometimes, but then immediately like apologizes and and tries to he's a confused young guy. He's very innocent, but also very selfish. But like he thinks he's doing the right thing, but he's in for a rude awakening. You know,
You know what,
in the
Bob?
movie.
I'm gonna rush ahead and skip all of these questions I have planned. I'm gonna ask you an
Whoa! Okay,
unplanned question.
are we
So,
wrapping up
so
already?
no, we're not wrapping up. We're not wrapping up. We're not gonna get to all the questions, but you just inspired a question in me. So,
Hmm.
this mother is so smothering because of the trauma and all the fear she has with Jason Voorhees. And you made a whole entire fan film called Victim No More. And I saw the trailer of the next film, which Jennifer's in, and these women look all distraught and simply traumatized. So what really, what's so traumatizing about this guy? Why make a whole movie about all this trauma from this Jason? Like, I didn't even hear Jason give any insults. I didn't hear him make fun of anyone's like
No,
behind or
he
anyone's
doesn't
faces.
speak. Yeah, he doesn't
Right.
speak.
I mean, sticks and stones may break your bones, but what words will never hurt me or something is that?
Yeah.
So maybe he's all breaking bones and not about the words. Like, what's so scary about this man? That's my
Well,
question.
that's exactly what you said. He broke a lot of bones, and he's killed
Ah.
many people and many family members and friends of this group that you saw in the trailer for the sequel. Um, so
There's a lot of killers, but people don't have movies about, oh, the victims are so sad, or maybe their children
yeah,
are going to therapy for them. Is this like a common thing, or is Jason like scarier than most? Because he really didn't seem all that scary. I mean, he didn't say a damn thing. He was just like he was almost like a Helen Keller type. Like that's not so scary. Like he's
no,
quiet,
no.
didn't even move fast. Like I don't see him as scary. You tell me why is this guy so scary?
Well, he's kind of decayed, and some people find like maybe
All right.
walking corpses a little like startling if they appear in front of them, and
Oh, he's
like
undead.
he's undead. Yes, he
Did
was
not know that.
yeah, throughout the film franchise,
Oh,
He was once human, and then eventually he did die. He died in part four, the final chapter, the
now
final
we're
chapter.
talking.
But then he was brought back to life through like as a zombie, almost like an undead monster who's like unstoppable. You could shoot him and stab him, and he'll just keep coming for you now.
Hmm.
So, so and throughout the franchise, there was a lot of survivors, and they really didn't focus so much on like what happened to them afterwards. And I was always curious on like, how'd they get through it? Did they get married? Did they have kids? Like are they still living with that trauma? But I mean, some of the sequels they'll show like, the survivor in the next movie, and then maybe they get killed or they go through it again or something, where
Right.
they run into Jason again.
Right. I get it. It's kind of like when I watch Real World. Sometimes I watch episodes from the 90s and I'll be like, they're doing now. I wonder all that promiscuity, who has AIDS, who has the clap. I wonder what's going on. It's kind of like the same thing. But now we're gonna move on to our next question.
Okay.
Um, all right, so Bob,
Yes.
may I call you that, sir?
You may call me whatever you want. But we could do Bob or Bobbers or
All right,
Bobby J. I think Jen likes to call me
Bobby
Bobby
J.
J
I'm
once in
gonna
a
try
while.
it out. Bobby J. All right. Sounds good. Feels good. All right, let's go to the next
You can call
question.
me
Bobby
Bobby J.
J. So
Okay.
now, I just got into filmmaking 2 years ago. I don't think I mentioned that when we introduced each other, or I don't know if Jennifer told you
No,
anything about me.
Jen only told me that you used to be a black pimp back in the 90s or something. Or maybe I
That
got
was a
the
previous
decade
life.
wrong.
That
Okay.
was a previous life before I became a dentist. So
Did you have
anywho,
the feather and the hat and everything and the walk and the cane and everything or
I
what?
was more of like an undercover pimp. Like if you saw me, you wouldn't really know I was pimping. That's kind of the best way. It's really like the people that are the richest people in the world. They're not really on the Forbes 50, Forbes 500. They're
Right.
those people you don't know. They don't have feathers and caps. They're not out there peacocking with feathers and showing off who they are. They're
No.
shopping at Marshall's and they're wearing clothes just like you and me, or
Okay.
maybe
Yes,
a
so
little
undercover.
better.
That's
Right.
good.
So, Sir Bob Heckman, we have
Yes.
2 minutes and 12 seconds left of this recording.
Oh my
So, I have
God,
one
really?
more question, and we have to get to your socials. You know what? So, we don't run out of time. Give our audience your socials. Where can we find out? Because September 13th, we're going to have the campaign for the Loose Ends Victim No More Part 2. Friday the 13th, we're going to have that. What is it? Indiegogo? Is
It's
it?
going to be Indiegogo campaign. Yes, September 13th.
How do they find that?
They would just have to punch in Victim No More or Loose Ends Victim No More Part 2. There'll be I'm going to put a lot of it's going to be on Indiegogo. Oh, you can find it on Victim No More page on Facebook. Victimnomorefilm.com
All
is
right.
our website where we do have merch that way you can get and also watch Victim No More. We have You can get merch from the first film. And Instagram, VNM underscore 2020. I think that's all the social. YouTube, of course. 3PD Films on YouTube. Go to 3PD Films on YouTube, and you'll find the first Victim No More movie, some behind the scenes stuff, partying with the final girls from the Friday 13th series, like all kinds of fun videos um, from some of the actors, including Jen. Jen shot a couple of videos there of like
Should be
screenings
enjoying
and
this.
little behind the
I'll
scenes
have to
stuff
see
of
this.
shooting the trailer for you. You can find the trailer for Victim No More Part Two, Loose Ends. We shot like a teaser trailer to help try to raise money when we do the campaign.
That was well done. I saw that. And I will also interject before we close to say, maybe you've had someone victimize you. If you've been alive for more than 20, 30 years, surely you have. I've had patients try to do dentistry on me because maybe I hit a nerve. And this movie can inspire you to be a victim no more
No
if
Mo.
you've been victimized. No
Right.
more, no more. Any way you want to say it. And now back to the studio for more. It came from the radio.